Hello! Today we're going to look at a 3D vectors question that really introduces some great techniques for dealing with geometric 3D vector problems. So we want to find the ratio of FP, this length, to PE, over there. Now, we actually get given a bit more information. We get told that the ratio of OM to OE is 3 to 1. So this bit's 3 and this bit's 1. And we get the same ratio for AM to MP. This bit's 3 and this bit is 1. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to find the root OP. We're going to find this journey. We're going to define it in two ways. We're going to define it as the journey OB plus BF plus FP. And we're also going to define it in another way where we know all the details from it. So if I can change color, we're also going to define it as this journey plus this journey. So that's going to be OM plus MP. And by doing that, we'll be able to compare the two journeys, because the two journeys will have to be the same because they define the exact same journey from O to P. We'll make them equal to each other, and then we'll compare coefficients to find any unknowns. So let's start with the first journey, with journey 1. So journey 1. As we said, we're doing OP, which is OB plus BF plus FP. So let's write those in vectors. So this is OP. OB is just the vector B. BF is just the vector C, just over there and there. And FP up here is some amount, this unknown K, and that's actually what we're trying to find. That will help us find the ratio of FP to PE. Some amount of FE. It's some amount of FE. And actually, FE is just this vector A. So OP is actually B plus C plus some amount of A. And finding that some amount, finding that K, will help us answer the question, what's the ratio of FP to PE? Because this bit is K lots of FE. Okay, that's one way. The other way we're going to define it, the second way we're going to define OP, we already said is OM plus MP. That's my orange root. Now, OM is, because the ratio of OM to ME is 3 to 1, that means OM is actually 3/4 of OE, because we said that OM to ME is 3 to 1. And we actually get given that in the question. So OM is 3/4 of the whole journey OE. Similarly, with MP, we have that is 1/4 of the journey AP. 1/4 of the journey AP. Because we get told in the question that AM to MP is also 3 to 1. So let's use vectors to define this journey down here. OE, if I just get, let's get a, I don't know, pink. OE is this journey, which is just going to be B plus C plus A. Pretty simple. Plus 1/4 of AP. Now, AP, why do I do that in green? Let's go, we can actually go anyway, but let's do this, 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 and this. So you can see we're using KFE. We're using FP in both journeys so that we can compare them to each other. So that's going to be 1/4 of, now we're doing the green journey, minus A, because we're going this way, so it's minus A, plus B, plus C, and then plus some amount of FE, which is some amount of A, because we know that FE is just A. You can see that this bit and this bit are very similar, which is good. Now, what we've actually forgotten here is that this bit is OA, but we actually want 3/4 of it. 3/4 of it. So this bit should be 3/4. Over there. Okay, now when I sort all of this out, I'm going to get 3/4 of B plus 1/4 B, which is just B, 3/4 of C plus 1/4 C, which is just C, and I'm also going to get 3/4 of A minus 1/4 of A plus 1/4 of KA. So finally, OP is B plus C plus 1/2 A plus 1/4 of KA. And now comes the classic 3D vectors trick. I have defined OP in 2 ways. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to equate them to each other. I've got that B plus C plus KA has to be equivalent to B plus C plus 1/2 A plus 1/4 KA. They define the same journey. They have to be the same. So now I can just equate coefficients. My B's and C's are irrelevant, but if I look at the coefficients of A, I've got this, this, and this. If I just look at them, I've basically got KA is equivalent to 1/2 plus 1/4 K lots of A. So equating the coefficients, these have to be equal to each other because they define the same journey. We have that K is equal to 1/2 plus 1/4 K. And if I solve this, I get that 3/4 of K equals to 1/2. So K is equal to 2/3. And actually, that solves our question all the way at the beginning, because we now know, if we zoom in here, that FP is 2/3 of FE, which means that the ratio FP to PE, if it's 2/3, has to be 2 to 1, because it's 2/3 of the whole journey. So the ratio of FP to PE is 2 to 1. And there we go. A classic 3D vectors question where we defined the same journey in 2 different ways, and then we equated those journeys together and solved for our unknown. K is 2/3. So there we go. What a lovely and quite tricky question. There we go. The answer, the ratio of FP to PE is 2 to 1.